Okay, wine number two has got me thinking of this.
We're off on the road to Morocco. This taxi is tough on the spine. Beats the bus, huh, Joey? Beats me. Where we're going.
All right. We're on the road to Morocco. 1942, interesting year. Yeah, I guess it was. 1942, The Road to Morocco came out. That was one of the road movies by Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, for those of you who are into trivia, because none of you are that old. And also in 1942, the movie Casablanca came out. Now, Casablanca's got some of my all-time favorite wine scenes, and I'll mention this before we launch into our wine. So, if you've seen Casablanca, and there's an affliction I have being involved in wine and looking at it from all different angles, especially from popular culture perspectives, is I look to see what wine is in movies and talked about and things of that nature. And Mum's Cordon Rouge is very big. Rick and Elsa drink a lot of that champagne, but another one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of that yellow orange label champagne is that in Casablanca it is the Nazis are drinking Veuve Clicquot while everyone else drinks Mum's. So anyway, Morocco. We have a wine from Morocco, and why not? There's a history of regions of the world that make wine that serve other areas. Sicily, even to this day, it makes a lot of cheap wine for the rest of Italy and other parts of Europe. Eastern Europe for years made the really cheap plonk for Soviet Russia. Northern Africa has fed Spain and especially France for years with grapes and with wine. So I've had wine from Algiers and from Tunisia and from Morocco. Of course, with the volatility of some of these countries, one never knows just how long they'll be able to make wine and then get it out of the country. And this is well before there were things such as supply chain problems. So it's when I see these kinds of wines, I grab them, and they've got long history of winemaking, centuries long history of winemaking, and also quality wines. So this is an interesting wine. Wine's been made in Morocco for many years. Syrocco is a Syrah. The French planted a lot of grapes there. Syrah, Cinsault, there's also Cabernet Sauvignon. There's other grapes grown in that region. You'll find these even in parts of the Middle East too, in Lebanon and Syria, Israel. So it's interesting history. But wine, there's been an industry there for well over 100 years, an actual industry. And not just wineries, but like regions, multiple wine regions. Alain Graillot, who's this amazing Northern Rhone producer. So it means he's in Northern Rhone. They specialize in Syrah, and he's just makes some of the most fabulous Syrah in the world. Has some other cool ventures too. Was on a bike tour in Morocco, and he started riding past these vineyards, and he went to the Thalvin family who owned them, and now has this joint project for a number of years. And I love this. I've been drinking this for a number of years, and I swear, having the real, it has that Syrah, earthiness and dark fruit and tar, but I've always felt, and I don't know if this is just my mind playing tricks, that I taste Moroccan spices. I get the spice market kind of taste in my mouth from this wine. So and it's actually a little bit cooler climate. It's only 13.5% alcohol. So this isn't like a big, rich, opulent, hot climate Syrah. But it's kind of style that's gotten to be very popular lately. So very flexible foods, especially if there's anything kind of earthy there. Mushrooms. I love Syrah with lamb. And think about a Middle Eastern lamb dish, and I would be like all over with this wine here. There we go. Really fantastic. And you can see the bike riders on the label. For those of you, I did a rosé thing a couple of summers ago, a community tasting. And we did all rosés, and I used the Syrocco rosé, which is made, I think, mostly from the Cinsault grape, and I think I'm gonna have some Syrah in it too. But this is Syrah, 100% Syrah, and it actually might have some Thalvin in it. Maybe it's 90% Syrah. I have to check that for when we do the tasting. It's an AOG wine, so it's actually a wine that comes from a specific region, and the region is Zanata, and it's not far from Casablanca, and I think you'll like it. And again, it's just to show that grapes, even though people might get stopped at borders, grapes don't often do, and they do migrate from place to place. I think our next wine will sort of show that as well when we get into it. But I hope you like this. This is a good think about this with stews. Think about anything using like Berber spices, Middle Eastern spices with a good rich meat dish. I think this would really go nicely too. Again, if I have lamb of any sort, I'm almost always looking to pull out not always, but mostly looking to pull out a Syrah or some kind of a Syrah blend, like a Cote de Rhone or a Rhone blend that's got heavy Syrah. A lot of people think it's a Middle Eastern grape, but it really is because of the city of Shiraz in I think it's Iraq. But it actually is. I think it is native to France and to the Rhone region. So enjoy it. I'll be back.